Do you think trans women are women?
No, I don't.
Okay, why not?
I want to first ask you to describe me what a woman is by definition. What up?
Yes, they would be women under my view, clearly, but
No, like what
obviously, like
constitutes a
you
woman
would
to
be
you?
defining woman differently, I would assume. So how do you define woman?
Well, I'm asking you to make my point of like my argument. So like, what do you?
Why? What?
What is you? What do you describe as a woman? Like, what is your definition as a woman?
So sure, yeah, that's fine.
I just want to point out though, like you do have a view where you don't think they're not women, and then somehow that depends on someone's what they're saying. But presumably, you could just give the reasons why they're not. We will be charitable though. I just want to point out though that like in the dialectic, like if I said like something is not this thing, like what's called of me is to not ask questions, but to give propositions that are true or false, right? Or presumably
I'm
true.
just asking for her opinion. That's it.
But we can just be charitable. It's fine. I just want to plant a flag where everyone can see it.
Yeah, so I would assume that we just have a difference in definitions. Woman is going to be like a gendered term under my view. It can relate to biology if we really get into like details, but my definition has nothing to do with your biological sex. It's just going to be whether or not you're in accordance with characteristics and have like commitments to characteristics that are typically associated with like the female sex.
So your definition is characteristics associated with the female sex.
It's going to be an adult human person who's like in accordance and has commitments to those characteristics that are associated with the female sex. Typically.
All right. Can trans women reproduce?
No, not yeah. They would be biologically male, or that's what I'm referring to. So biological males can't reproduce.
I don't know what this is supposed to do.
If a trans women are like meant to reproduce, a trans woman cannot reproduce.
This is why This is why we asked you in your review, because see how that didn't.
Yeah, can you tell me what a woman is?
Now we're talking about your view. That's the whole point, is to point out, because look, it might just turn out that you have a view where what you're attacking, which I predict, is something that trans people aren't even saying. So you have this like inert argument that doesn't even affect the community in any way.
Well, and you didn't tell me what your definition of a woman is. I told you mine. Can you tell me your definition? You're off the app, or I can't hear you if you can't see the live.
Oh, okay. So
you also have like kind of low service. If you can fix that.
Honestly, I don't think I can. If it's really that bad, I can just let somebody else speak.
I think it's fine. Yeah, good. I'm just letting you know if it does cause problems. But okay, yeah. How do you define a woman?
Okay, so by definition, a woman is somebody with the XX chromosome. By definition, if somebody did you know that if we took a P test, if scientists can I finish mine? I'll let you finish.
I didn't ask you for like you to say anything other than your fucking definition, because that's what I did. We're going back and forth and like clarifying terms.
The dialogue, bud.
Did you have an issue with my definition? Because I have an issue with yours.
My definition is somebody who has an XX chromosome.
I heard you. Yeah, your service is kind of shitty now.
Your service is garbage, bud.
Yeah,
It's not that deep. I'm on its service.
It's not that deep? We can't hear you. Okay,
alright, well then I will just let somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think his view is going to be very forthcoming anyway. I mean, if you just hold this view, then it seems like it's going to be really easy to point out like characteristics that are typically associated, in this case, with being a woman, and then getting some agreement and pointing out that where the identity rests, and then he'll come back to insisting on the XX stuff and not really understand the point. That's what I anticipate what would happen.
Hi, how old are you?
Hey, how are y'all doing? Oh, pause. No.
Sorry.
He's taking a shower or something, so I think he's about to get naked. I'm just kidding. I think he's washing his hands.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You're over 18, right?
Yeah, I'm 22.
Okay. Do you disagree with the background?
I want to say this first. I think, I don't, just so it ain't a bunch of hate. All humans deserve love, and everybody can say they are whatever they are, but what you feel in here doesn't make it fact.
Okay. Well, so how do you define a woman? How do you define a woman?
A woman is somebody that's born that doesn't have a thing that I can't say on TikTok.
That doesn't. Okay, so you're going to be relating to just like biological sex. When I say trans women are women, I'm not saying that they're biologically female.
Oh, okay. I just read the thing and clicked.
Yeah, so women is like a different word than biological female. And I'm using it in a gendered sense.
You should say whatever you want to feel and identify as.
No.
I'm just
Well, hold on. Hold on, guys. Just listen, because this is like a common misunderstanding that people on your side just don't even understand the view. And then,
I'm listening, bro.
Yeah, it'll just turn out that you're probably going to end up. I'm just gonna say you'll probably end up like agreeing with what we say when we drop certain identity language or like woman language, and we point out these characteristics, or we point out like them being associated. So just hear Annie out, and I think we can make progress here.
Yeah. So.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. So do you recognize that there's a distinction between like gender identity and biological sex?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when I use terms like man and woman, and same when we talk about like trans people, the way that they're using terms, they're using it in a gendered sense. It doesn't relate to like biological sex. It's relating to gender identity, which your gender identity can be related to biological sex, like typically speaking, but it doesn't have to be. Your gender identity can just misalign with your biological sex, and that is what makes you trans. It's pretty simple.
Okay.
But
I got you.
okay, so yeah, so like woman, when I'm saying that, I'm using it in a gendered sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so then trans women are women.
At least under the view that I under the way that I'm defining it, can you agree to that? Like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Well, that's all. Yeah, that's all. That's like all that's being expressed. It's like that. Like I use this example, and maybe people get annoyed by it, but I like this example. Is that like when there's like the common thing to be like, yeah, but you can identify, as whatever you want, like a fire hydrant, right? What makes me not a fire hydrant? And one of the things that I'd point out to that person is like, well, like imagine that like they really were shaped like, hypothetically speaking, they really were shaped like a fire hydrant. They really spurted out water and dogs peed on them and they were red. We would point out that they they have these characteristics that are typically associated with being a fire hydrant. And when, someone just says, look, what I mean by identifying as that is not that I'm actually like this thing biologically or physically, but I have all these kind of characteristics heavily associated. And then if you just agree with all that, then that's all like I'm not gonna say that's all. I just want to say that that's a good synopsis of what's being expressed.
Yeah, and these characteristics can be like biological and like psychological in the sense that there can be like hormones that are produced in the womb and like parts of your brain.
I don't think it would be.
Hold on, bro. So parts of your brain can like lean more towards what's typically associated with like a female sex, and that can be like one of the characteristics that I'm talking about. But then there are also like social and cultural characteristics. There's like it's a multifactorial thing when we're talking about gender identity.
You know why I think trans, and please don't get offended by this, but you know why I think becoming trans is getting popular?
So no one's becoming trans, people just are trans.
Trans means to transform. You have to.
No, that's not what that means.
To transform.
No. So first of all, yeah, we're not talking about like fucking Transformers. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, I kind of am a little bit.
What?
What do you think it means to be trans?
Yeah, trans just
Trans means you want to be the other gender, so you're gonna identify as such.
No, so gender is not related to biological sex inherently, or like it's not the same thing. It can be related, but the thing is that when someone is saying that they are a gender, they're not becoming a gender. They are that gender. Gender can be separated from their biological sex.
Also, your
That's not what it's saying.
Your view assumes like want, which is an intention, like a propositional attitude. It's like an attitude towards a proposition, like they believe. But you don't. To be trans doesn't even require an active belief that you are like I am a woman, right? You just could fall. We could just point out all those characteristics and point out that that person is typically associated with all those things. And they might not, like kids, they might not realize it till they get older, right? That they're trans, right? So you don't have to have your question or the whole. They want to would only be talking about like some subsection of trans people that have an active belief. But I don't hold the view, and I don't think the trans community, if I have this right, I mean, I'm a cis white man, but I don't believe that they hold the belief that you have to have this active propositional attitude that I am a woman. That you could literally just realize that, right?
Yeah.
Like I was trying to say 5 minutes earlier, the reason I think being trans is more common now is statistically, y'all probably going to get offended by this, but statistically there's less and less fathers in the household. Nobody,
hold on. What the fuck is going on?
Nobody has a man to look. People are being raised by single moms.
So do you think only trans women exist? Like, what's happening? You don't think trans men exist? Like,
no. Did you hear me say that?
Like single moms can't. Like I've like known people that like are raised by single moms, and they like their mom is like way more kick ass than their dead. Like my other friend's deadbeat ass dad. Right.
Yeah,
so this is just like a really weird hasty generalization fallacy.
Yeah, I was raised by a single
like,
mom.
Okay, but also the do you know anything about like what happened to, or like the discrimination against like left-handed people in history?
Oh no, please continue.
Okay, so like people that are left-handed had a lot of like very weird kind of like superstitions that turned into like people literally being killed for being left-handed. What'd you say?
I said, what the heck?
Yeah. So like people thought that they were like they had like demons in them or whatever. It also turned into like assuming that people that were left-handed were gay and like a bunch of very weird things. But then finally, when it was like more normalized to be left-handed, the statistics of like left-handed people or the amount of left-handed people that were like open about being left-handed spiked like an insane amount. So it
which makes sense.
Yeah, so like it's something that you can like maybe pretend to not be.
I think you'd see a giant spike in Saudi Arabia
like,
if the atheists in Saudi Arabia or the apostates in Saudi Arabia all of a sudden it wasn't like you could become beheaded for no longer being a Muslim, right? You would see a giant spike of it. It wouldn't be like all of a sudden like they just want to become atheists. It's there's like a lot of social pressures, right? And like life pressures.
Yeah. So like
I would argue there's more
people. Sorry. Trans people are being like unalived. That's a very real fact of the matter. So there's reasons as to why people, especially like recently, have at least felt a little bit more safe now that it's at least being taught that it's a real thing, and like at least we're at the beginning of it being like more normalized. So there's going to be more people like identifying themselves as that in society.
I would argue that in modern civilization, there's less straight people. And before, let me continue. I think I got highlights and I paint my nails. I'm a straight guy, and my family often uses sexual. What would you call it? They try to call me different things.
They try to use at your expense with I understand what you're saying. Yeah, and, I know you're trying to avoid TikTok stuff. I think I know what you're saying though. Yeah, and I I love all my people. I got some you know what friends, some you know what friends, and some you know what friends, and I'm just trying to educate myself while also putting out there my education and just trying to be an analytical person and hear everybody's perspective on life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Does it kind of make more sense that like at least what trans people are saying is true, that they're in accordance with like the characteristics that are typically associated with the female sex, and it's like a social and cultural role, like a recognition of like a role in society, as opposed to like anything regarding their biological sex? Because
Maybe use the father.
yeah,
example is pretty good.
so like an adopted father, you don't use a different name for that person when like they would still be referred to as a dad or a father by their child, but it has nothing to do with their biology.
Yeah.
But it's like going to be related to their biology when we're talking about the term, like typically speaking, but yeah, not always. Like an
I
adopted
promise
father.
I'm not about to start playing the guitar. I'm just holding it.
Yeah,
I do that too. I play guitar and I do that too. It just feels right.
but yeah, like so that would just be an example of like term usages that like maybe that's just where the miscommunication is that
I want to see how old y'all are. Do y'all know what this is?
Let me see. There's a VHS. It looked, or no, DVD. It's a VHS. Sorry, I couldn't see it. Yeah, it's a VHS.
Hey, good shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I have a 1994 Mortal Kombat 2 arcade cabinet in my room. So like I'm not old, but I live in the past. I mean, I'm kind of old. No, I'm just kidding. I feel old.
I had VHS too. So I guess I'm old now. I don't know.
Y'all a player, aren't you?
Right. Well, I think we made progress.
Does that make sense? The adopted father thing, does that kind of like resonate with?
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and one thing is like, look, someone might not hold the view, and they're just like, well, I just still think trans women are not women, blah blah blah. But like, if you're understanding what we're expressing and like our term usage, which is like really important in philosophy and in my opinion, just like daily life, that you want to engage with somebody's term usage, and then because like a lot of times it's like a semantic dispute or something, but when it turns out like, look, I'm referring to this thing, these set of characteristics, and I think the fire hydrant example is good of that, is because someone's like, yeah, but they're not really a fire hydrant. It's like, yeah, but they're also not saying that they are actually a fire hydrant.
It's funny that you say
They have a lot of
psychology.
yeah, they're not.
I
saying that they're,
recommend y'all read this
biologically
book.
one. And it's like you can kind of like at least draw out, where the term usage is, and that somebody ends up probably agreeing with that. And then, in like gender expression kind of stuff, it's like it seems like men, specifically like biological males that I've met in my life, and Annie's brought this point up, is like they like already possess this kind of concept of gender expression, like that. Like I don't know if like someone cucked or did something, and like you're like less of a man, you soy boy bait. Like they use terms like soy boy and stuff, which is like if I asked the analysis, it's like less of a man. Or something like that. Like I'm going down this kind of spectrum or something. And it's like, I feel like you possess this kind of concept of expression or at least identity or whatever,
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, look, understand, and you've been really receptive, but it's like in these conversations, like, look what we're saying. And then we're going to try to relate that you possess the same concept. And in fact, you would deploy the same concept.
But yeah, it was nice talking to you.
Y'all too.
Have a good one.
You too.
You too.
It's like two somewhat progressive conversations we've had in the last 2 lives, at least.
Just kind of accept. It's not really sending out too hard, but y'all top your screens, share the live.
Hey guys,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Or sorry,
How old are you?
are you over 18 or what's?
Yeah, I'm 24.
Okay, cool. Do you disagree with the background?
Yes, I do disagree. Simply because, the fact that you identify as a certain thing does not make you that certain thing. And I believe you guys are trying to explain something differently. So before I continue, I'd like to hear your perspective.
Sure. Did you hear the fire hydrant example that I gave?
A little bit.
Yeah. Like, would you agree that, like, if in a hypothetical situation that somebody was shaped like a fire hydrant, and I use this example because like a lot of people are like, oh, you could be a fire hydrant or a ham sandwich. It's like, all right, let's play with that for a minute, right? So imagine hypothetically like someone was really shaped like a fire hydrant. They spurted water, they were red, dogs peed on them, you know, firefighters came up to it and like broke it open during fires. Right? They had all of these like typical kind of characteristics associated with being a fire hydrant. We would both agree that they're not like biological. Well, it's weird to say biologically, but like this physical makeup of, you know, what constitutes, you know, a fire hydrant, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but like nonetheless, we would agree that like when they tell you like, look, what I mean by identifying as a fire hydrant is like, look at all of these traits I have. They're like very highly associated with this thing, right? This thing, a fire hydrant. And we would agree in the hypothetical that, yeah, they do have those characteristics, right? I mean, it's just stipulated as true in the hypothetical. Well, like, if someone just reported to you, like, look, that's what I mean by saying I identify as a fire hydrant. Like, what's the issue supposed to be? Especially when we can distinguish this concept. And then, like, further, I can kind of explain to you that, like, when you go to the store, the kind of things that you're not checking off as sufficiency criterion for women is, hey, ma'am, before I say thank you, ma'am, and I walk out the store, like, what chromosomes do you have, and what's your gamete size, and do you have a vagina? Like, lift up your skirt. Like, we don't do that, right? So I'm thinking that if you possess an understanding of what I'm saying there with the fire hydrant example, I think I can make a further entailment that you actually deploy this concept in your daily life. And that's an empirical claim, but I'm pretty confident on it.
Okay. So I understand that point of view. But from my perspective, it's more so of the traits that you do possess that are still pertaining to what you previously were. So like, say, for instance, you are a male to female. You still pertain a male physiology, which inherently allows you to do things that normal women cannot do, correct? As in your strength. Like, it's a common problem within female sports where females are having...
Yeah, that's not going to make any sense really fast. But yeah, you're just saying... No, sorry. Can I just respond? Because you're going to be like kind of straw manning it again, like essentially. But so when you're talking about strength, that's not even going to like start to make any sense for your argument, because there's going to be like cisgendered women that are going to be like way stronger than you or like me or other women that whatever. That's not going to make any sense.
Okay, so what I was trying to get at is that it doesn't matter if you're a cisgender woman. What I'm saying is that there is a common disparity between these two, no matter if they identify with those characteristics. Is there a common disparity
between me and Ronda Rousey? Like,
yes, there is, because Ronda Rousey.
So is she a woman?
Listen, so can I actually finish what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that if you were to put Ronda Rousey in the ring with, let's say, another male MMA fighter, that male MMA fighter is more than 60 times out. You know what I'm saying? Like more than 90 times is going to win that fight. And
that doesn't even follow. Like, you're not even, what
are we on the sports thing for?
Yeah, like, and that's not even gonna disqualify like Ronda Rousey from being a woman compared to me as another cisgendered woman. So just because like there's a woman that's stronger than another woman, that doesn't make any sense.
I wasn't finished with my point, which is the point that I'm trying to make. You're cutting me off before I actually finish my point. What I was going to say is that it's a common disparity in women's sports where trans women are coming into the sport and they are inherently and physically
name one trans,
more powerful and they perform better.
Like, you know, we're not going to get into sports because honestly, that has nothing to do with whether or not trans women are women. Like,
it does not have to do with that particular argument, but it's a point that I'm trying to make. There is a disparity.
Hold on.
What I'm trying to say is
there's a disparity between me and Ronda Rousey, so that's why there's like different classes for different sports, and there's like, you're not making any sense. People that go on like hormone treatment are gonna like have different performances in sports. So like there.
Yes. So what I'm saying is, just because you identify, that's what I'm saying. Just because you identify yourself as a certain thing, that doesn't mean it takes away from the characteristics from what you originally were.
Yeah, the characteristics.
That's what I'm trying to say. Just
like through hormone therapy, and can also be different amongst different people. Your
Yes,
point
you
makes no
can.
sense.
You're not letting me. You didn't get the point. That's why you're saying it doesn't
No,
make
there's
any
different
sense.
classes and different sports for different reasons. Like you don't.
Yeah, and there are sports where there are trans women in those sports, and they're
Well, these are
outperforming
you
normal
have an
women
issue with
simply
like
due to their
rules and sports.
physiology.
That's fucking arbitrary. It has nothing to do with whether or
I'm
not
not
trans
talking.
women are,
I'm not
are
talking
women.
about just sports. That's just the example for what I'm talking about. You're not getting the bigger picture. What I'm saying is,
So maybe someone is going to be stronger than someone else.
no, I'm not talking strength.
Is Ronda
Strength isn't
Rousey
the
a woman
point.
compared to me?
You're trying to pinpoint what I'm saying. You're trying to take what I'm saying and run it.
Just state
I'm not.
the proposition. Just
It's a
state what it
statement.
is that follows from this. Just state that because it's not clear. Just state it. What is it?
Okay, so what I'm saying is that there are certain things that you cannot take away from being the opposite
Through
gender
hormone therapy,
that
you
are still
actually
going to
can
stay
take away
with you,
from.
even though you say you identify as this, as such.
What?
You understand what I mean?
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
No.
So, okay. So
So do you think
when
they're
you
saying that
are-
they're biologically female?
No, I don't think that's what they're saying. I know for a fact
So
that they're
they're not
not saying that they're
identifying as
biologically.
anything that's taking,
They're not
like-
biologically female. They're identifying as trans women. And what you're asking is, are trans women women? And I'm saying no to that.
Okay, so how do you define a
Because-
woman?
because there are
How do you define a
characteristics-
woman?
There are certain characteristics that define a woman.
Give me
such
one
as
of them.
femininity, their
Okay.
their physical characteristics such as strength, such as other things like that. Like you're not gonna find you're not just gonna go
So a
and walk.
strong, feminine, cisgendered man is a woman? What are you talking about?
No,
Okay,
that's
what's
not
a
what I'm
woman?
saying. Okay,
What's a woman?
okay. You're clearly not wanting to listen
What's
to
a
what
woman? What do you disagree? Oh,
Wow. Seriously, you gave up that quick?
he couldn't even say what a woman was. That's where the whole problem was, is that he doesn't even know what he's disagreeing with.
I mean, he started listening.
He said femininity and strength.
Yeah, I was like, he just like gave up after listening to two things.
Don't
I was
question me
very
on
confused.
that any
Yeah.
further, please.
I was really confused about that exchange, but okay.
He said, okay, well, you're not going to listen.
Yeah, it was very petty and weird. Okay, buddy.
It was actually really funny.
Hi, Annie.
Process that.
Oh, hi.
Right, Annie, I've got a wee bit of a thing here, right? See with the guy that was just on, right? I've got to agree with him to a point, right? There was a case where the athletics.
Sorry, how
had
old are you? Sorry, how old are you?
I'm 41. I've
Okay.
been on before.
And
I've been on-
you disagree with the background?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay. I was like, I couldn't tell if he was saying he agreed with you or agreed with the
No,
other
no,
guy.
no. I agree with what the guy said, right? There was a thing in the boxing recently, right? It was in the athletics.
We're not talking about
where-
women's sports. We're talking about the topic in the background.
Just bear with me the now, okay? I'm not thinking. Just bear with me the now, right? There was a thing in the boxing where trans woman, right, had went into the boxing, right, and beat a woman to a pulp, right, and it was said that it wasn't right because the difference between the people, the two fighters was it was disadvantaged, right, with a transgender woman facing a biological woman.
Oh my god,
right?
bro! Today, Junior, get it out.
Yeah.
Like holy shit! How long does that take a sentence? That there was like literally all you took like
Listen,
10 minutes to say
just
there
you-
was a
just
there was a
just you
boxing
pipe
match
down.
with like two people.
Just you pipe down because
Just
you've
like
not
get
got
off the
a clue
sports
what
thing
you're
and answer the
talking about.
question. Like this is stupid.
Yeah,
Just you pipe down.
other cisgender women have like hurt cisgendered women. Men have hurt men. Whatever. Men have
No,
hurt
but
women.
you
Women
can't.
have hurt
You
men.
can't put. You can't put.
I
a
don't
trans-
support people hurting each other. I don't want to talk about sports. I want to talk about the thing in the background.
No, but it all ties in. No, that's the
I don't
thing.
know what's going on,
You cannot have biological women against a transgender woman, and you cannot have.
That's not the background.
transgender-
We're not talking about fucking sports, dude. What the fuck is wrong
Transgender man
with you? Can you
versus
fucking read?
transgender
Can you
man.
read?
Listen,
Can you?
see, you've not got a
No.
clue.
You know
See,
what?
you
This
muppet.
is what's gonna happen.
See, you've
This
not.
is what's gonna happen, right? I have the mute power. It's great. I love this on my show too. I can do this to guests. It's awesome. It's really fun. what you're going to do is engage, and if you're not going to engage, you're going to sit back down. That's what's going to happen, right? So I'm going to unmute you, and you're going to engage. If you talk about sports, I'm just going to drop you down.
Like, my view could be
You're gonna have
that,
to unmute
like,
yourself.
I don't think boxing should exist, like, or something. Like, you don't even know what my view is entirely. Like, why are you? That has nothing to do with this.
It does
we
have
could
something
get
to do with it,
so
though.
sidetracked
Because
on like a sports conversation. It has nothing to do with whether or not trans women are women.
Yeah,
it does have. It does
I'm not
have
doing
it,
good
though,
in fantasy
because it's
sports,
put-
so like I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Right,
my entire position could be that I don't think like boxing should exist or something. Like I could have a crazy take. It's not worth it. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the thing in the background.
Exactly. Yeah, I think boxing's bad for everybody.
Yeah.
Move on. Like, right, this is just a nerd. Like, it's stupid. It doesn't attack anything we're saying.
Right, but as it goes to the thing, right, but as it goes to a woman, a
I
real
don't think anyone
woman.
should hit anyone.
Right? I can just hold that view. I can just say like sports are actually like a decaying society, and like nobody should be doing it. I don't care if you're trans or cis. Like, fuck off as your sport with your dumb ball game, right? Like, let's like save the planet or something. Like, I can hold that view. It's a pretty rational view. There's probably people that hold that view. So let's just engage.
See, when it comes to people like you've not got a fucking
Yeah, I don't care about the
clue.
meta. Like, I don't care about the
Don't
meta.
have a
What I care
clue.
about is content. I care about content. If you can provide like some propositional content that supports your conclusion that trans women are not women, I'm happy to take your view and put it in
Trans
propositional
women
logic.
and
for
Did
you.
you say
no.
real woman? Can you define woman?
A real woman is a woman that's got the sexual organs and that's been able to reproduce. A transgender woman that cannot have periods, right? They cannot reproduce or anything
my mom?
or that.
My mom's not a woman. She doesn't get her period anymore. She can't reproduce.
Well, it doesn't matter. She was able to though.
Oh, okay.
So
So
that's
like women that can't get, so that's, first of all, you have to concede that. But women that are like infertile.
You just like you just said that, and then we pointed out to you, we don't know what your fucking mind is thinking. So when we point out an issue with your reasoning, and you go, well, then now it's actually about having like some type of proper functionality that like could eventually arise, right? There's a proper function of being a woman, and the proper function is like this reproductive thing. But like, it's just this like ability to have that. But we have to get that out of you, right? And I have to even talk about. I also have to like read into what you're saying, which is proper function.
I've got a question for you, right? See if your partner, right?
I don't think a question's supporting your view. So why don't you just support your view?
See if you have a kid, right? And
no, I'm not doing
your
this. I'm really
partner
not doing.
goes-
I'm not doing this. Like, I get pissy about this shit. This like bothers me in philosophy of religion because that's my background. I'm new to this. But what I don't like is what somebody's supposed to do is like define their terms, and then once we go to that, like they support their conclusion that trans women are not women. Now, what you can't do when providing an argument, unless it's clarificatory or you're asking me the premises of your argument to accept, you don't ask a question, right? Because a question isn't propositional. It can't be true or false, right? But propositions can be. And propositions are the things that you need to chain the reasoning together to get to your conclusion, right? You need reasons, right? Reasons are propositional, right? So reasons are not questions. This is really easy to understand. So what I expect from you is to do that thing. And if you don't do that thing and you just end up asking me a question and it's not clarificatory, not interested, right? Unless Annie wants to engage, I'm not engaging. So you can unmute, but don't ask a question. State a proposition that you think supports why you think trans women are not women.
Trans women are not real women, right? The simple fact that they're not is by biology as well as the ins and outers of a male and female body, right? Women have.
So you're just saying you're just saying a woman means biological female. That's what you're saying.
No, I'll just bear with me now because
That's not what you're saying? That's not what you're saying?
That is what you're saying.
If that's not what you're saying, this might make it easier for us. Is that what you're saying?
It's. Why the fuck is this not working?
Do you not know your view? We can start back over. I know this is difficult to understand your own view.
No, the only
I struggle
point
sometimes to be able to relay my own view. It's really hard to do, especially when I'm like, like really passionate about it, like you are.
No, I'm passionate because I've come into the side with the sport thing. That's why I've come.
I don't give a fuck
And
about the
plus,
sport thing. It
another
doesn't say
thing
anything
is
about sports in the background.
Sports are stupid. Move on.
no, but the thing is though, it still all ties in though because you can't have. The,
Let's
this
just
is the
stick to
thing.
the no. Let's stick to the claim that trans women are not real women. Can you? You already said that women are what, biologically female. What? Anything else you want to add to that? Is that like, did we get that right? Because you just said that that wasn't right. Pretty sure that that's what you've been saying.
No, right, wait a minute, right?
Jesus fucking
The
Christ,
reason,
man. Are
Either
you
they are,
here?
or they're,
Are
either they
you?
are, or they're not. Well, we can walk you through it. Either they're like, look. Let's say you say that it's not that they're.
Oh, he's gone. Yeah.
Let's say that they're not, like, well, let's just say it anyway, right? Let's say that you say it's not the case, that it's constitutive of being like a biological woman. Okay, well then great. Then what's left over? Like, we're talking about traits, properties, characteristics that you now seem to make sense of the concept of woman, and then boom, we got you. It's really easy there. But then you say the other thing, like, well, no, they are. And then we just do the same thing that we did with the last guests and explain like what we mean by the term, and that they possess and share the concept, and that they deploy the concept. So it's just really easy to go either way, bud. So this was really, really fun for me, for the last 3 guests. This was enjoyable. Thank you guys for entertaining me.
This is fun. There's no one else requesting. I don't know if you want to.
Wait. I can't read. I'm sorry. Hey, Blue. Yo, Blue. Sorry, I couldn't see who that was for a second.
Yeah, Blue's cool. I don't know. Did you want to restart? Are you tapped out?
I don't know if I'm ever tapped out. I guess it's just like you're tapped out when you can't speak anymore. Or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess we get certain guests, you can get tapped out. Yeah, I guess there's like you can get drained.
Yeah.
Wish I had like the meter available to
Cipher.
me, but it's yeah, exactly. I don't know. I made progress, I think, so maybe not. But yeah, I'm doing fine. I think I'll just recharge with some rice.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna restart and see if it sends out, but I'll be right back. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for tapping screens. I'll be back in literally like 30 seconds, so see ya.